At the dawn of the 19th century, the United States was a young nation, seeking to define its role both on the world stage and within the continent. Over the next few decades, the nation experienced rapid territorial growth, military struggles, and a strong sense of national identity. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803, the War of 1812, the Monroe Doctrine, and the idea of manifest destiny all contributed to the United States' development and expansion. These defining moments set the stage for the nation's emergence as a global power. Let's explore these transformative events and how they shaped the future of America. The Louisiana Purchase of 1803 was one of the most significant and transformative events in American history. Under President Thomas Jefferson, the United States doubled in size, acquiring vast lands that stretched from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains and from the Gulf of Mexico to Canada. The purchase, which cost $15 million, was made from France and marked a new chapter in America's expansion toward the West. At the time, France, under Napoleon Bonaparte, regained control of Louisiana from Spain, and the U.S. was deeply concerned about the implications of this move. New Orleans, a critical port city at the mouth of the Mississippi River, was essential for trade, and its control by a European power posed a threat to American commerce. Jefferson, originally a strict interpreter of the Constitution, faced a dilemma. He believed that the Constitution did not explicitly give the president the power to purchase foreign lands. However, seeing the immense benefits of such an acquisition, Jefferson decided to act quickly, reasoning that it was in the best interest of the nation. The Louisiana Purchase significantly impacted the nation's economy and development. It provided access to vast new resources, such as timber, minerals, and fertile soil, which fueled economic growth. Furthermore, the Mississippi River, now firmly under U.S. control, became a vital trade route. The purchase also provided an outlet for expansion and settlement, which ultimately led to the westward migration of Americans. The purchase played a central role in the development of what would later become the American frontier and encouraged the creation of new states. However, this acquisition did not come without challenges. The land was sparsely inhabited and largely unexplored, which meant that settlers would face significant hardships as they moved west. Moreover, the purchase sparked debates about the impact of such expansion on Native American tribes that already lived on this land, as well as the potential for conflict with European powers who still held territories in the region. The Louisiana Purchase laid the groundwork for the nation's westward expansion, which would eventually lead to the concept of manifest destiny and the annexation of territories such as Texas and California. The War of 1812 was a critical conflict that tested the young United States' resolve in its quest to assert its independence from Britain and secure its place in the world. Several issues led to the war, including British interference with American trade, the impressment of American sailors, and British support for Native American tribes resisting American expansion in the West. The war was seen by many as the Second War of Independence after the Revolutionary War, and was an important step in cementing American sovereignty. One of the most notable events of the war was the Battle of New Orleans, which took place in January 1815, several weeks after the Treaty of Ghent had been signed to officially end the war. Despite the war technically being over, British forces attempted to seize the city of New Orleans, which was strategically important for controlling the Mississippi River. General Andrew Jackson, leading an eclectic mix of soldiers, militia, and even pirates, decisively defeated the British forces in what became one of the most significant victories in American history. The Battle of New Orleans was a major morale booster for the United States and helped to foster a sense of national pride and unity. It was viewed as a clear demonstration of the U.S. military's capability to defeat the British, who had once again tried to challenge American sovereignty. In the aftermath of the battle, Jackson became a national hero, and the victory was seen as a final confirmation of the nation's independence. The War of 1812 ended in a stalemate with the Treaty of Ghent in 1814, but the Battle of New Orleans and the overall conclusion of the conflict fostered a new sense of nationalism and pride in the United States. The war demonstrated that the United States could defend itself and protect its interests against one of the world's greatest military powers. The conflict also reinforced the need for a stronger national military and the ability to resist foreign influence, especially from Britain. Following the war, the U.S. entered what is often referred to as the Era of Good Feelings, a period of political unity and national optimism. The Federalist Party, which had opposed the war, effectively collapsed, and the Democratic-Republican Party dominated politics. The War of 1812 thus played a crucial role in shaping the national identity of the United States and reaffirming its independence and sovereignty. The Monroe Doctrine, announced in 1823 by President James Monroe, marked a turning point in American foreign policy and asserted the Western Hemisphere as a sphere of influence exclusively for the United States. Monroe's declaration came at a time when European powers, particularly Spain, were looking to reassert control over their former colonies in Latin America, which had recently gained independence. Monroe's statement was a clear warning to European nations that the U.S. would not tolerate any further colonial expansion in the Americas. The Monroe Doctrine had several key components. First, it declared that any European intervention in the Western Hemisphere would be considered a direct threat to the United States. Second, it stated that the United States would not interfere in the internal affairs of European countries or their existing colonies. And third, it emphasized that the U.S. would not tolerate any future attempts to colonize or control territories in the Americas by European powers. While the Monroe Doctrine was largely symbolic at the time, it was significant for several reasons. It reflected the growing confidence of the United States and its emerging role as a regional power. It also underscored the desire of the U.S. to assert its influence in the Americas and prevent European powers from regaining control of former colonies in the Western Hemisphere. Over time, the Monroe Doctrine would become a cornerstone of U.S. foreign policy and would be invoked by successive administrations to justify American actions in the Americas. The doctrine helped define the U.S.'s approach to Latin America and its relations with European powers throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries. Although the U.S. lacked the military strength to enforce the doctrine initially, it gradually built the power necessary to back up its claims. The Monroe Doctrine laid the groundwork for future American interventions in the Western Hemisphere and established the United States as a dominant power in the Americas. Manifest destiny was the belief that the United States was destined by divine providence to expand across the entire North American continent, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific. This ideology was rooted in a combination of nationalism, the belief in American exceptionalism, and a desire for economic growth. It became a driving force behind the nation's territorial expansion during the 19th century, shaping the political and cultural landscape of the time. The idea of manifest destiny gained traction in the 1820s and 1830s, with Americans looking westward for new opportunities. The notion of spreading democracy and civilization was used to justify the conquest of Native American lands and the annexation of territories such as Texas. The expansion was also motivated by economic interests, such as access to new resources, fertile land for farming, and opportunities for trade. The Oregon Territory, which was jointly occupied by the U.S. and Britain, was also a focal point in the manifest destiny ideology, culminating in the Oregon Trail and the eventual U.S.-British agreement to establish the U.S.-Canada border in the Pacific Northwest. One of the most controversial moments of manifest destiny was the annexation of Texas. In 1836, Texas gained independence from Mexico and became the Republic of Texas. In 1845, the U.S. annexed Texas, which led to the Mexican-American War. The conflict resulted in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, 1848, which saw Mexico cede vast territories including present-day California, Nevada, and much of the Southwest to the United States. This territorial acquisition fueled tensions over the expansion of slavery into new states and exacerbated regional divides, ultimately contributing to the outbreak of the Civil War. Manifest destiny also had a devastating impact on Native American populations. As Americans pushed westward, they displaced thousands of indigenous peoples through policies like the Indian Removal Act, which led to the forced relocation of tribes to reservations. The legacy of manifest destiny is marked by both territorial gains and immense harm to Native American communities. The Louisiana Purchase, the War of 1812, the Monroe Doctrine, and manifest destiny were pivotal events in shaping the United States' identity and territorial expansion during the 19th century. These events not only solidified American sovereignty, but also laid the groundwork for the nation's rise as a global power. As the U.S. expanded its borders and asserted its influence, it developed a sense of national pride and purpose that defined its future path. These foundational moments helped turn the United States into a dominant, independent nation.